It was a sunny afternoon in a crowded urban park. Yahusha stood under the shade of a large tree, surrounded by people of all backgrounds, business professionals, street performers, the wealthy, and the homeless. He was teaching about the kingdom of Elohim when a group of modern-day Pharisees dressed in fine suits adorned with tzitzit approached. Their tassels were long and elaborately woven with blue cords, drawing attention to their outward devotion to the Torah. One of them, a man with a proud demeanor, stepped forward and said, "Teacher, we know you are wise. Tell us, is it not righteous to uphold the law and judge those who fail to keep it?" Yahusha turned to them, his eyes steady yet compassionate. He gestured to the tassels on their garments and said, "Do you understand why you wear these?" The Pharisees exchanged smug glances. Of course. It is written, "Speak to the children of Israel, tell them to make tassels on the corners of their garments throughout their generations, and to put a blue thread in the tassels of their corners. And you shall have the tassel, that you may look upon it and remember all the commandments of Yahuwah and do them." "We wear them to show our commitment to Elohim's law," the man replied, adjusting his tzitzit with pride. Yahusha nodded. "Yes, the tzitzit are a reminder of my Father's commandments, a call to obedience and humility. But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! You make your tassels long to be seen by others, yet you fail to keep the weightier matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness." The Pharisees frowned, but Yahusha continued, "You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside you are full of greed and self-indulgence. You focus on what people see, your tzitzit, your prayers, your outward acts, but you neglect the cleansing of your heart." He looked at the crowd and said, "The tzitzit are not mere ornaments. They are meant to remind you to love Elohim with all your heart, soul, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. A heart that truly understands the Torah will bear fruit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. But what do you Pharisees do? You judge by outward appearance, by skin color, wealth, status. Yet my Father looks at the heart." He pointed to a homeless man sitting nearby. "You see this man and judge him unworthy because of his poverty. But I tell you, the kingdom of Shemayim belongs to those who are poor in spirit. You see his tattered clothes, but my Father sees his heart." The Pharisees grew uneasy, but Yahusha's voice grew stronger. "Do you think wearing tzitzit absolves you of the sins in your heart? From within, out of the heart of men come evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies, and so also envy, drunkenness, strife, greed, gluttony, slander, and pride. These are what defile you, not unwashed hands or the absence of outward rituals." He stepped closer to the Pharisees. "You tithe mint and cumin, but ignore the true weight of the Torah. Do not think I came to abolish the law or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. When the Torah is written on your heart, you will not need to flaunt your tzitzit for validation. The law will manifest in your love, mercy, humility, and justice." Yahusha turned to the crowd, his voice softening. "And do not forget the vulnerable among you. Pure and undefiled religion before Elohim, the Father, is this: to visit orphans and widows in their trouble, and to keep oneself unspotted from the world." He gestured towards a woman sitting quietly in the crowd, her clothes simple and her face weary. She held the hand of a young child. "Who will care for the widow and the orphan? Who among you will serve those who cannot repay you? My Father commands that you defend the cause of the fatherless and plead the case of the widow." He looked back at the Pharisees. "You judge by what is convenient, but you neglect justice, mercy, and compassion. You overlook the oppressed, the fatherless, and the widowed. How can you claim to love Elohim if you refuse to love those made in his image?" Yahusha then knelt beside the homeless man. Taking the man's hand, he said, "This man, though you judge him by his appearance, is closer to the kingdom than you who are rich in pride. My Father is not oppressed by the outside of the cup, but by the fruit of a heart transformed by his Ruach. He stood and turned back to the Pharisees. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. You will know them by their fruits. Do not judge by appearances, but judge with righteous judgment. The Pharisees were silent, their fine suits and elaborate tzitzit unable to hide the hypocrisy within. Yahusha then addressed the crowd one last time. Remember why my Father gave you the tzitzit, to remind you to keep his commandments, not to display your piety. True righteousness is not in outward appearances, but in our heart that loves Elohim and your neighbor. For the greatest commandment is this, to love Elohim with all your heart, soul, and mind, and to love your neighbor as yourself. On these hang all the law and the prophets. And as you love Elohim, he added, serve the orphans and the widows, the brokenhearted and the oppressed, for in serving them you serve my Father. And with that, Yahusha walked away, leaving the Pharisees to wrestle with their pride and the crowd to reflect on the true meaning of the Torah.